Listen, I really just want to start with the movie is fucking awesome. You got another Predator movie coming out at the end of the year, which I obviously am incredibly enthusiastic and excited for. But like, I have to ask you as a fan, do you see yourself continuing in this Predator universe and like sort of taking the reins and...
Please, no.
I'm not thinking that what I'm doing in the Predator universe are movies that I want to be making anyway. I have now made an awesome World War II aerial dogfight movie. What? And I've made an awesome Viking movie. What? And a feudal movie story set in feudal Japan, and I'm not thinking.
If you've recently perused sites like Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, or Metacritic, you might be under the impression that the response to Predator Killer of Killers, which I will unaffectionately be calling Peacock from here on, indicates that the bleeding has stopped and that this franchise, once thought dead, has arisen from the pool of wet steaming excrement, and that Dan Trachtenberg is the witch doctor behind the voodoo magic which made it possible.
F***ing voodoo magic, man.
You might have even seen it for yourself and marveled over the blood, gore, and the reappearance of Dan's favorite prop. Then declared loud and proud,
absolute peak, like we are so bad.
Now I'm not here to tell you what should or should not entertain you, nor can I argue against your feelings. Enjoyment is a pleasant sensation, and if this movie delivered unto your person a rush of endorphins, then I am very happy for you.
Thanks.
Nothing I am about to say is intended to quash your experience, but I'm also not here to validate it. Enjoyment is purely subjective and can be had with bad media. I have plenty of my own personal examples of this, as well as plenty of pieces of objectively great media in which I have not found much entertainment at all. It is an emotional response, not a measure of quality. So regardless of one's enjoyment, regardless of Rotten Tomatoes critics, and regardless of scores given by others who have seen it, Peacock is objectively a big, flaming pile of guano.
They have guano!
It is another in an increasingly long line of piss-poor sequels and spin-offs to one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever created. An absolute monument to the power of outstanding action, sharp storytelling, grandiose masculinity, and one of the silver screen's most iconic figures. Any notion that Peacock sits anywhere close to the original in terms of quality is frankly embarrassing. To begin to explain why, I ask that you keep something very important in mind. This entry is canon. These are not what-if scenarios. They're meant to exist in the same universe as the original. That means that Peacock will not be allowed the latitude we tend to give animated movies for their commonplace absurdity. These characters occupied the very same planet Earth where Dutch and his team assaulted guerrilla forces in the Central American jungle before being picked off one by one of the coolest monsters to ever grace the big screen. So, without further ado, gorge your loins, strap in, and let the hunt begin.
It's about to go off.
Peacock begins with the familiar 20th century logo, which really isn't so familiar now that I look at it. This one says Studio instead of Fox, and now it's owned by Disney. Killer of Killers live-action remake, coming soon!
Feel better?
Yeah, I do.
On screen appears an entry in the Yautja Codex which says to go forth among the stars and seek only the strongest prey. They shall be your trophy. Become the Killer of Killers.
He said it! He said it!
And you know, that sounds pretty well in line with the actions and intentions of the original Predator. A good sign, perhaps?
No, don't get your hopes up.
Then in familiar fashion to the first, we see one of the Predator ships traveling toward the Earth, only this time we've gone back in time to 9th century Scandinavia and on board a Viking vessel. And you know, Predator versus a Viking actually sounds pretty cool. I wonder which one of these strapping fellows it will be.
Is it me?
Is it you?
Who knows?
Guess who? Guess who? It's a mystery.
None of them. Oh, please, not her. What's a woman even doing here? Maybe this guy giving orders. Oh, nope. Well, who then?
Her?
Yep, her.
But you're so old.
This is Ursa, who is somehow the leader of this clan. And to call this kind of arrangement rare would be something of an understatement.
I'd say that sounds pretty retarded.
All bullshit. All of it.
Antithetical to Viking ethos, one might even say. Gourd, this is a movie. Surely you can suspend disbelief for the sake of a movie. Excuse me, my suspension has its limits, and with this being part of a pre-established universe, I don't think this is the best icebreaker. Ursa stands with her son Anders and reminds him that they do not fight for gold, but rather because their enemy still lives, and if she should fall this night, he should avenge her.
You are ready now. You all have traveled far. You seek gold and plunder, but tonight, think of only one thing, killing the Krivich.
And again, add vibration.
Maybe the voice actress figured if she rolled enough of her consonants, she would sound more authentic. Their ship reaches the shore and are met with a volley of fire arrows filling the sky. Then at the last moment, Ursa defends her son with a shield, prompting the title card, reading, "The Shield."
Wow. That was truly amazing.
Now, I'm no tactician, but it seems to me that fire arrows aren't the most practical of opening salvos for an attack at night. If you are aware of the position of your enemy, why not use standard arrows which are harder to see? If they can't spot the arrows, they won't raise their shields. And if they don't raise their shields, the arrows kill more of them.
It's not rocket science.
An enemy force is so much more interesting if they're depicted as intelligent, but oh well. Visuals. We catch up following the battle where Ursa and her men were victorious, and all that remains of their foe is one unfortunate soldier.
You know who I am.
You are Ursa, Valkyrie of the Northern Seas.
Put a pin in this exchange, cause we're coming back to it later. After the prisoner refuses to give up the whereabouts of his leader, Ursa chops into the side of his torso to make him talk.
Where is Soren?
He has built an immense fortress, many leagues to the east, high above Lake Ladoga.
You're gonna need another pin for this part, too. She instructs her son to give the man a merciful death, but the little twink balks. So she does it for him. Later, while they're camping out, Ursa tells Anders the story of how Zoran, leader of the Krivich, defeated her father and gave him the choice. Either Zoran kills her or she puts down her dying daddy. Doesn't seem too difficult a decision given all the arrows in his chest.
I don't think he's gonna pull through.
Don't get me wrong, I get why Ursa Minor here didn't want to do this, but are we really sure Zoran's such a bad guy? We don't know why these clans were at odds. I can't say for sure, but to me there are probably some very fine people on both sides. Also, not killing her was pretty merciful. Foolishly so, one might say, especially after he hears dear old dad tell Ursa to avenge him. Why let her live and create a new enemy? Oh right, she's a woman. That seems like cheating if he's just gonna do it for her. And this is the explanation for why she has been driven for decades to seek revenge. Also, let's look at Ursa Minor in the version that's closer to the expiration date and guess how old she is in both frames. I think a 30 to 40 year difference is a kind estimation. So in all that time, she never figured out where Zoran came from? And she only just got the idea to capture and torture one of his men for the information? This is why we don't let women lead.
One day later.
You know, for a hidden fortress, this doesn't seem too hidden. And if they knew the lake the tortured soldier was referring to, wouldn't some of them have been here before? How did they miss this?
Because they're stupid.
They arrive on the shore and Ursa decides she's going straight to the front door like an old school Avon lady. And she meets no resistance.
What's the plan, Ursa?
I have a
Plan!
I'm going to knock on the front door.
They must have really liked that line to just throw logic out the window like that. If your fortress is approached by armed foreigners under no banner of peace, you are absolutely shooting them down. Ha! Not these idiots! These guys are a full head taller than her, yet she proceeds to carve her way through more than a dozen of them in less than a minute. It's basically the Kingsman church scene, but with shields. She even takes one out with a Captain America throw. And I'm sorry, I'm just not buying it. Call me sexist if you want, but a middle-aged woman just isn't doing this to dudes way bigger, way stronger, and by the looks of it, way younger than her.
She's an old lady. I mean, look at her. She's old.
I don't care how skilled she is, and again, I don't care that this is animated. One enemy soldier takes a few swings at her and almost gets the kill before Anders comes to her rescue by deflecting the blow, even giving a pose and a nod. And I get the feeling the movie is drawing our attention to this moment. I wonder how it will pay off later.
I wouldn't count on it.
Ursa takes out several more en route to Zorn's domain. When they finally come face to face, she announces herself aloud with all of her nicknames like a self-important little bitch.
Some call me Stonebringer, Shield Maiden, the Valkyrie of the Northern Seas. My name is Ursa, daughter of Einar. Daughter of Einar. Daughter of Einar.
Who?
Star-Lord. Who?
Who?
Now either he's being sarcastic and she's too idiotic to realize it, or he seriously doesn't know who she is, which is even more stupid. Remember the torture scene from a moment ago? His own men know her by reputation. Surely you've heard of her. Either way, it's in service to a joke. A bad, tired, played-out joke.
You are a thief of joy.
I don't know if this individual was the culprit behind it, but I get the sense that hiring one of the writers of Megashark vs. Crocosaurus was probably not the best fit for a Predator movie. If you insist upon going the Mary Sue route, it seems to me that it would make far more sense if Zorn claimed he had heard of her but didn't believe the rumors of her prowess were true. Instead, he tries to belittle Ursa until he's rudely interrupted by Anders, stealing the kill by beheading him. But as he and Mom share a look of satisfaction, the Predator appears and holy shit, he is enormous!
That's a huge bit!
It brutalizes Ursa's men with ease, though guess who gets the first hit on it? At least I can play her death on repeat for my own satisfaction. Yeah, that's good. Anders gets a good spear throw in before Ursa jumps on its back. She's dislodged and knocked back at least a few dozen feet and out the building, with the fall being as many or more down into a frozen lake. This old hag should be dead, yet when she reemerges a minute later, there's not the slightest sign of hypothermia and she seems barely injured by the fall. And this is despite her being so cold that her body heat doesn't even register in the Predator's vision.
Wow!
As it fires its sonic boom weapon at random, she gets atop a boat, pulls up the anchor, then lifts it overhead to prepare and attack. How is she doing this? She lands only a glancing blow, but then as it rears to attack her, she hits the ice to break it and gets the anchor around the Predator's leg, pulling him under the water. This same anchor this small postmenopausal woman lifted over her head is enough to pull down a predator several times her size.
Serious crap!
He grabs hold of Ursa's ankle to bring her down below with him, but she manages to outmaneuver and outsmart the monster, tricking it into firing the sonic boom as she raises her shield. This somehow propels her out of the water to safety while the predator drowns in the frozen depths.
Well, we all make mistakes.
Ursa returns to her son, who lays dying on the ground. He asks if she killed it and then sadly dies in her arms.
So he won't be joining us for the rest of his life.
The image of Anders fades from her hands, and now she appears to be inside of a strange room with a collar gadget around her neck. Wait, was she kidnapped by the predators? How the f*** did that happen? Oh, and she is not alone. A Japanese man kneels on the floor nearby, and thus begins story number 2. Though truthfully, all of these stories are in number 2. And yes, I am aware that many have claimed this particular tale to be the best of the lot. And I agree, but it's still pretty bad. This story begins in 17th century Japan with a bit of fortune cookie wisdom about leaves on a tree growing together but falling from it alone. Cut over to 2 brothers sparring with sticks and otherwise having fun, though not talking at all because this story is going to be done with no dialogue. At least until it isn't. Then there's Samurai Father, a severe-looking individual who will suffer no faggotry, pits them against one another, this time with real katanas, putting a kabuto between them as if to set the stakes. One brother... Okay, this is gonna get old if I just keep calling them brother. Let's look this up. Okay... Predator, killer of killers... Japanese bros... Tentacle hentai. Ah, there we go. Kenji and Kiyoshi. So, Saka wasn't the first male Kiyoshi. Kenshi sheathes his sword, refusing to fight. Kiyoshi similarly hesitates, though when he sees Daddy is disappointed, he springs into action and attacks, eventually putting Kenshi on the ground and leaving a cut down the right side of his face. Apparently, this is enough for him to be victorious and for the losing brother to throw down his sword and run away. Like a puss. 20 years later, Samurai Pops is dead and his mantle passes to Kiyoshi. Bells ring in the city and we see Kenshi on his own outside the walls. He looks up toward his former home, understanding what has happened, and does what any son in mourning would do. Get out his hidden shinobi gear! When and how did Kenji become a ninja? And if that's his new gig, shouldn't he be out killing and sabotaging for money?
I call it the cage monkey. Got to be kidding me.
Kiyoshi holds a funeral for Dad while a predator watches from above. Kenji, meanwhile, infiltrates the city and begins taking out guards before being spotted. I get the impression I'm to believe he isn't killing any of these guards, though this and this makes that a tough sell. And again, ninjas are assassins, so why even depict him as non-lethal?
You clearly know what you're doing with Predator. I mean, like, this is incredible.
The city goes on high alert, though Kenji still makes his way to Kiyoshi and the room where they dueled as children. Only this time he is the aggressor. They have a prolonged fight, which is admittedly pretty cool, and Kenji wins, pinning his brother against the railing before placing a cut across his face. And that's it. Was that the whole reason for coming here?
Are you kidding me?
You waited for a couple of decades and until after the death of your father, and made your way through a number of guards, just to give your brother a scar?
With all due respect, that don't make a lot of sense.
Unfortunately, Kenji's non-lethal plan goes tits up when the cracked railing gives way and Kiyoshi goes plummeting what appears to be well over 100 feet to his certain demise.
Whoopsie daisy!
Shocked and distraught over this, Kenji turns and stares at a painting of his father. And in perhaps the dumbest edit of the movie, he very briefly imagines it coming to life for a moment before the predator rips through it and attacks. What was even the point of that?
With all due respect, what the fuck?
Some of the samurai guards are trying to break in, and Kenji opens the door and throws smoke, allowing them to take the brunt of the Predator's attacks. A complete dick move, though at least he's acting like a shinobi. More of them get killed while Kenji escapes through the window.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
He hides beneath the roof as the yautja searches for him, but instead of wisely waiting for the monster to pass, he springs up to stab it in the foot. I think the idea was to slow the creature down, but why not just be patient and stay hidden? Isn't distance likely to be more beneficial? Also, this injury never seems to affect the predator. A chase ensues across the roofs, and Kenji leaps off of one, goes through another window, and comes out the other side? Was that entire floor just a narrow hallway? And these mid-air shuriken throws. Same canon as Predator, guys. Totally normal for this universe.
You ruin everything!
As Kenji plummets towards the earth, there is thankfully the soft, pillowy cushion of water down below. And as we all know, falling several stories into water is just like landing on an airbag. Some of you may be ready to point out that Dutch also fell into the water from a great height in the first Predator and survived, and that's perfectly fair. Though it's worth pointing out that his was a controlled fall and he ultimately toothpicked his way into the water. But the problem really isn't the fall itself. If it were just this, I'm not all that bothered. It's one thing compounded onto many things before and many more to come.
It's too much! It's all too much!
Kenji crawls toward the shore, and just as he arrives, his brother shows up and attacks. How did he get to that exact spot? How is he even still alive? Are there any rules to these stories at all? Kenji halts Kiyoshi's attack just before the Predator comes up from behind. Kiyoshi blocks most of the blow, but unfortunately, 2 of the Predator's blades enter into his side. Yet despite the injury, the brothers battle the beast and even manage to fight it off despite it getting its hand around Kenji's neck. I guess the yautja forgot he could just squeeze a bit harder. Also, given this thing's size, I have no idea how they're able to deflect its blows this effectively. It should be overpowering them with ease. This is how you manufacture drama in combat. Just subtract intelligence and ability from what should be an overpowered villain and pay no mind to the concept of weight classes. Hey writers, why not add some intelligence to your heroes instead? Oh right, because that would require some intelligence of your own. The Predator slings a chain at Kenji to drag him back, but our protagonist hooks 2 of the alien's explosives to the end of it and returns the chain to sender. Arnie's Dutch is just looking worse by the minute compared to this movie's heroes. As the little bombs start ticking, Kenji seems to realize that indicates they're about to go off. How does a 17th century samurai understand ticking time bombs? The explosion knocks the Predator into a tree and it disappears faster than a witness who knows the Clintons. You'd think that suit function would have been destroyed by the impact. Heck, Arnie's Predator lost its ability to go invisible just from a nearby explosion. The brothers grab their blades and appear as though they'll be finishing their duel, but when a leaf falls onto the unseen body of the Predator, they attack in unison, beheading and splitting the monster into pieces. The brothers kneel side by side and finally speak. I would have been cool with the no dialogue thing had they committed to it for the whole tale, but since they didn't, this kind of just takes me out of the story. It's forced artsiness. Yeah, that's a word. Oh, and then Kiyoshi dies so the Avatar cycle can continue. No explanation for how Kenji was abducted later, by the way.
Don't get bogged down in the details!
And thus, the best portion of Peacock ends, and things are about to get so much worse.